Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to the box office predictions. Today, we're going to be talking about Asteroid City. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros. This is a Wes Anderson flick. And, this dude right here, he's made quite a few movies. World Tenenbaums, Life Aquatic with Steve Sizo, Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is my personal favorite, Moonrise Kingdom, Grand Budapest Hotel, Isle of Dogs, French Dispatch. He's done a lot of stuff. And while none of his movies were huge hits, some of them did all right. you know, Grand Budapest is his highest grossing flick. That did pretty well in the grand scheme of things. And it helps that a lot of these movies have really strong reputations. And is now led to Wes Anderson creating a fan base that will be like first in line to see his stuff, which is a good thing. So Wes Anderson, I say like his critical track record. His box office track record isn't as good, but it's still okay-ish. And it's still all right. And his fan base, I label all those as like a big old pro in my book, because most people are going to be watching this movie are going to be watching it because it's Wes Anderson. Like either that or the cast or both. So, yeah, I say Wes Anderson's name is a pro, although there is some cons to it, but I'll get to those later. But I'd say Wes Anderson's name is a pro. Another pro is the cast. Look at this list of names right here. I know it's kind of small, but that's a long list of people. I am not going to go over this whole list one at a time. No. I'd be here for like 30 minutes doing that. So, but just looking at these names, let me get in order here: Jason Schwartzman, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Jeffrey Wright, Tilda Swinton, Bryan Cranston, Edward Norton, Adrian Brody, Liev Schreiber. Trying to think some others. Rupert Fiend, Steve Carell, Matt Dillon, Willem Dafoe, Margot Robbie, Jeff Goldblum. Like, this is a stacked cast. Definitely one of the most stacked casts I think I've ever seen for a movie. I mean, there's been plenty of stacked casts we've seen in the last few years, like Knives Out, Dune, Don't Look Up, which was on Netflix. Was it Amsterdam from last year that had a really strong cast? So yeah, the cast here is pretty great, I would say. Lots of big names here, lots of recognizable faces, a whole lot of recognizable faces. And that's a good thing. Okay. So, yeah, I'd say like the whole cast as a whole, like combined, I would label that as a positive. So, that's a pro. The cast, easily. So, that's pro number 2. Pro number 3, reviews are fine. I mean, they're not amazing. Definitely not Wes Anderson's best, but they're all right. It's at a 75% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Its audience score isn't as good. It's at 67%, which is a little concerning. But critic score is fine. It's just fine. It's decent enough. So I'm going to label that as a pro. Although I might as well. Its audience score is more. I guess it's kind of a con. I guess I'll talk about it later. But its critic score is fine. So, yeah. So that's pro number 3. Pro number 4 is that, this is an original flick. You don't see a lot of those, especially like during like the summer season. Like summer season is usually like filled with like blockbuster-esque movies, like franchise installments and reboots and sequels and all that jazz. Asteroid City is not that. In fact, this whole weekend, like the 2 movies coming out, neither are franchise flicks, or neither are based on pre-existing source material, as far as I know. I'm pretty sure Asteroid City is an original movie. I'm going to check, because I don't want to look Stupid. Okay, Asteroid City. Yeah, it's original. Cool. This is literally the only weekend this summer where like not a single wide release is based off pre-existing source material. Every other weekend this summer has that, whether it be a sequel or a remake or any of that. Like that's or like a brand new like take on a series, like say with Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Like this is the only weekend where originality is king, basically. So embrace it, I guess, because this is the only weekend you're gonna get this summer. So yeah, its status as an original movie will definitely help it out amongst like the marketplace. So I would label that as a pro, definitely. Another pro is that competition. There's not much direct competition, like at all. Like this movie is so different from everything else. Really, I mean, like there's really nothing that can directly compete against this. I don't see anything competing against this for a while at least. At least I don't know Barbie when it comes to like surrealness or just how weird the movie is. I don't know, but Barbie's that's a huge stretch. Um, so yeah, and besides, like the weekend is pretty slow because boy, last weekend, Father's Day weekend, that did not go great because The Flash and Elemental both tanked, and everything else is just old. It's bad. So and like the next few weeks aren't looking a whole lot better. I mean, Indiana Jones 5, my expectations for that are rock bottom. I don't think that's gonna do well. Um, I don't think we're gonna have a real hit until Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One, but that's not till mid July. Yeah, when it comes to like direct competition, there's really nothing. So labeling that as a pro. Um. Oh yeah, it's Thursday previews. That's another pro. I forgot to mention. Oh yeah, no. Before we get to that, it's performance last weekend in limited release. So last weekend it opened in 6 theaters, had that prestige release that a lot of movies like to do, where you know you open a few theaters, get a huge per theater average, get a ton of buzz, get a ton of attention, and then that leads to mainstream success, or at least sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Here, like with its limited release, it did fantastic at a 142K per theater average. We haven't seen anything that good in years, like a long ass time. It's kind of wild. But yeah, I'm trying to remember the last movie that had a per theater average that good. Uh, Opening weekend. Okay. Let's see. We haven't had anything this strong since. Most of these are just Disney movies that got like a specialty release. Well, there's Grand Budapest Hotel up there with like 200K in just 4 theaters, which is crazy. Yeah, apparently it's the best since La La Land. And La La Land was a huge hit when it came out like in 2016 and expanded in 2017. It won it well it won. I used bunny ears for that. Won the best picture Oscar before they realized, oh my god, we screwed up. It's actually Moonlight. I will forever remember La La Land for that snafu at the Oscars. That's gonna be, to me, that's its whole legacy. um yeah, Asteroid City had a really strong debut in limited release. So that's definitely a pro. And another pro, it's not listed here, but its Thursday preview was 1.1 million. And I was like, wow, that's actually a lot better than I thought this would do because obviously this isn't exactly a big money blockbuster. It was never built up like that. So the fact that it had a Thursday night like that, that's not bad. I don't think that's bad at all. That's definitely the. I definitely believe that's due to all those Wes Anderson diehards watching it first. They all want to see it first. But Yes, Thursday preview. I label that as a pro. And I think that's it for pros. Cons. Okay. So Wes Anderson, look, I he's made some great stuff. He has, but the fact is his movies have never really risen above, you know, they never risen to blockbuster status. Like Wes Anderson's never had a true like undisputed breakout hit in his career. I mean, Edgar Wright was the same for a while, but then he had Baby Driver, and that did incredibly well, and that was like his first big mainstream hit. Wes Anderson has yet to really have that. I mean, the closest he has is Grand Budapest Hotel, and even then, like 59 million. Well, that's not a lot in the grand scheme of things. And yeah, a lot of his movies can be described as niche, like super like niche. Like they don't appeal to like a wide net of people. So yeah, so there's like the risk with Asteroid City. There's the risk that only the Wes Anderson diehards are going to be really interested in this, and everybody else just give it a shoulder shrug, just like, whatever. So yeah, I'd say Wes Anderson's lack of mainstream box office success, like lack of a big win at the box office, and the fact that his movies are very niche, I'd label those things as a con. Both of them kind of like a two for one thing as a con. So that's con number one. Con number two are the audience reactions. They're not very good. um, it seems like critics are definitely more kind toward this movie than like mainstream audiences. Almost feels like an A24 flick. Like the audience score is a 67%, which isn't great. I mean, like ideally you want your audience score to be in like the 80s or 90s. When you're in the 60s, that's a sign of really mid word of mouth. And with cinema score, that's what it's showing me. Word of mouth being very mid. Because I'm trying to pull it up here off screen. You got a B, the same as the Flash. Um, so that's not ideal. So yeah, so mid word of really mixed, really mid word of mouth. That's definitely a con because that can really impact its legs. So that's a con, definitely. Um, Trying to think of another con. Uh, I think that's it. Really, I think those like the main two cons going against this movie. So, yeah. Opening weekend. Oof, this is hard because Wes Anderson movies like they don't. None of his movies have had like big opening weekends like at all. Like it's never happened. But I guess we could compare this to some other movies. Moonrise Kingdom, Grand Budapest Hotel, French Dispatch, I guess. I don't know about Isle of Dogs. That's animated. That's stop motion animated. Same goes for Fantastic Mr. Fox. I don't think those are great comparisons. But I'll just go with these that we have here. Okay, so according to this, um Moonrise Kingdom, when did it go wide? When did it go wide? Where? Okay, so it went wide. Got almost $5 million, which is not bad for a movie like this. It wasn't exactly a big budget flick, so it was a very small movie, so it's fine. So yeah, less than 5 million for Moonrise Kingdoms. First true wide release. Wide. Ugh, my tongue is failing me. Wide release weekend. Okay. Ugh, God. And then for Grand Budapest, its wide release weekend was 8.5 million, which pretty strong for a movie that's wasn't even in 1,000 theaters at that point. So, and the fact that it made over like 3 million in like 66 theaters is madness. um, yeah, and then French Dispatch, which is his most recent flick before Asteroid City, so it's been more comparable. Uh, that didn't go too great. It only opened like 2.6 million when it went wide. So, yeet. Although granted, uh, French Dispatch came out when like the adult audience just was not showing up to the theater at all. They wanted nothing to do with movie theaters. They stayed away, and now it feels like they're trying to get Hollywood's trying to get that audience back with certain movies, and it's worked to an extent. But yeah, it's definitely not what it used to be when it comes to like art house flicks, aimed towards like a really, the older demographic. But yeah, so looking at these, judging by preview number, I'm gonna say Asteroid City is go, gonna get close to Grand Budapest's Hotel's like 8.5 million. I don't think it's gonna go that high. I think it's gonna reach like 7 million. I'm gonna stick with that 7 million opening weekend, and its total, I don't know. I feel like its legs won't be that great, like because of how mid word of mouth is. I'm gonna say 20 million, just 20 million. That's what I'm gonna go with, and that's it. So just one more movie to talk about. Originally it was supposed to be three, but then the other two just disappeared. So, woo. So all I gotta talk about next is No Hard Feelings, and then that'll be it for the weekend. So yeah, but anywho, yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. We'll check out more videos like this. I got playlists on the homepage, all previous prediction videos I made on the channel. You want to watch any of those? Go right ahead. Any of them like from this year, the previous years, go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. I now have 100. Oh wait, I talked about Asteroid City once, one time, and that was episode 168. I talked about it alongside A Man Called Otto and No Hard Feelings, a movie I'm literally going to talk about after I make this video. And also a movie called True Haunting. I don't know what happened to that. I don't really care. um, so, yeah. So that was 168. I made 196 episodes now. I'm inching towards 200, which I really wish I didn't have to make 200 of these, but you know, it's just how it's just what happened, I guess. So yeah, if you want to watch, the episode 168 where I talked about Asteroid City and all the other movies I talked about alongside with it, go right ahead. If you want to watch any of the past cancel episodes I made on the channel, go right ahead, binge it all from beginning to now. I highly encourage you to do that, so go do it. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. June recap will come out mid-July, around the same time as Dead Reckoning Part 1. Should be very interesting. It's going to be very negative in tone. So stay tuned for that. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.